mess with Dan Lanning. How about the Oregon Ducks? Breaking. Former five-star quarterback Dante Moore has committed to the University of Oregon. Now, Joe, last week, Dylan Gabriel, committed to Oregon, and you said that you thought that Dante Moore would also go to Oregon, and I said...
Yeah, what did you say?
I said that's exactly where he should go.
You said no chance in hell, I think was what your wording was.
What I did say is it didn't make sense if he wanted to play now. Seems as if that's not the case. Dan Lanning recruiting his rear end off, Dante Moore to Oregon. How about that?
There is clearly a bright future that is being developed in Oregon. And we've spoken so highly on Dante Moore and what he's capably going to be able to do at Oregon with an empty checkbook from Phil Knight. I think this is awesome. And I think that it's good for a talented player to take a step back and realize that he was thrown out there too soon and just figure it out and learn on the job and learn from a veteran guy in Dylan Gabriel. He's going to be great. He's going to be great once he takes over for Gabriel. And look, I'm also going to throw this out there. I wouldn't put it past him to beat out Dylan Gabriel. I don't think it's likely, but it's certainly possible.
Well, what this does is it buys Dante more time to sit and learn. Because look, I don't care what happens. Now, can Dante Moore beat him in camp during the non-playing portion of the year? Can he beat him this spring? Yeah. But I think they're going to run Dylan Gabriel out there, and because of seniority type of, like, he's got the experience. You get Dante Moore to sit behind him, learn, and you're not in a lot of real rush to get him out there like maybe a Nebraska would be with Dylan Raiola. I mean, look, Dan Lanning, man, Phil Knight and the boys, it's a massive addition. Now, Oregon fans were mad at me last week because I said I didn't understand the fit of why you're just getting a one-year rental with Dylan Gabriel, because we talked about Dante Moore, and I just said, why not go get Dante Moore and let him be the star in the future of your program? Well, they didn't care what I said. They went and got both of them. It's like, hey, I want what I want, and I want it now, and they go and get a very talented quarterback. Now, Joe, he struggled a lot this year in the Pac-12 at UCLA, and it's not as if that Chip Kelly is a bad offensive play caller. He's a really damn good offensive play caller. I do think this is a great fit because he gets to sit, maybe can buy a year, get stronger. But Dan Lanning, man, making the Oregon Ducks, learning from his counterpart at Georgia, learning from his mentor in Kirby Smart. Hell of an addition, hell of a pickup.
And I also, just to add to that, I think what's different here, or not different, but what works well with Oregon, and I think what is going to work well with developing the future, is paying close attention to offense. And I'm not saying that Kirby didn't do that, but what I'm getting at is having not only the next guy up figured out, but having that plan in line after that. Ty Thompson hopped in the portal, so they needed to figure out, okay, who is the young guy that we're working with? I don't know if they were necessarily in the running for any of the top 2024 guys. It's not a very deep quarterback class like last season. But to grab a guy that's played before, that has experience, so theoretically, if Dylan Gabriel goes down, we can call upon Dante Moore, is massive for them. But at the end of the day, to have this kid who was considered by many to be the best quarterback in the class to come in, sit for a year, get even better, play for you for a season, and then go on to the NFL, the window for them to win a national championship, it's going to be open for them for the next few years.
Well, it's especially just getting to the playoff, right? Like,
I mean, I would go as far as say I think it's foregone conclusion that they get to the playoff. A 12 team, there's realistically going to be 3 or 4 Big Ten teams that get in. They're in the top 4 of the Big Ten right now. They'd have to have a massive collapse.
Yeah, I mean, the only argument that I could put them at 2, but the problem is that you have Washington there, and until they beat Washington, I'm going to stick with Washington, believe it or not, on this. Which,
come on, Washington's going to be good next year, but they're starting from scratch at their defensive line, linebacker position, offensive line spots, the
So
quarterback
they're
at
stuck on
receiver.
defense right now anyway. They're not losing anything. They're 120
Braylon Trice is going to be a first round pick.
I get what you're saying. I'm not saying that they can't make the playoff. What I'm just saying is I'm trying to think in my mind. You got Michigan, Ohio State. You have Oregon, Washington that being there. Maybe Penn State, maybe, like a hard maybe. I don't hate that. I don't hate that. I just be very curious to see because look, you're going to get three or four teams in from the SEC. All right. And so there could be a very real scenario that you only get 2 or 3. I mean, Joe, if they're 10-2 and maybe, I mean, let me ask you this question. If they're 10-2 in the Big Ten and now you're looking at what Ole Miss is doing, then what? Like if Ole Miss is 11-1, 10-2, then what? You start having to make some very difficult situations for other conferences. And by the way, Joe, I just throwing this out there. You still have other, the 7-5 method is what they're probably going to. So can they? Yes. I just we'll see.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. Bet online, where the game starts.